Welcome back to From House to Home.
Welcome back to From House to Home. We are interviewing today Tyson and Clark from Eagle Home Mortgage in Moses Lake, Washington. And so we're asking questions and getting information and answers that will help people who are looking to buy a home to qualify for loan and all the ins and outs of that. So we'll turn our attention to Tyson and Clark. And to pick up where we left off, getting the right home loan that's one of the first things a person wants to do, is to get pre-approved. And so how do they go about finding the right people and the right lending institution to get their mortgage loan for their house?
Well, the first thing they should do is just call Eagle Home Mortgage in Moses Lake. We'll take care of all their needs.
All right.
It's location, and you always want to reference is a good point from people you know, friends, family, real estate agents. But the yellow pages are a good thing. The internet's a good thing. You want to look for a bank that's established and been around for a long period of time, and offers a lot of the programs that are out there and available to all the homeowners. But the easiest part is, depending on your location, stay local. Local lender is the best. You can meet face to face. You're not just dealing with somebody. If you live in Moses Lake or Ephrata and you're trying to do a loan and your lender's located in the East Coast, you never get that personal experience. You don't get that. And it's really important to sit there and have that communication, that face-to-face contact, where, hey, if you have a loan question or something comes up, you can pick up the phone and you can call or stop by the office and you can get a direct answer right away.
Beautiful. Yeah. And people like that.
Yeah, they love that. That's the most important.
When you buy a house, we get the mortgage together, everything is going well, we've got the house chosen, and so now I know what my mortgage is going to be. Are there any other costs involved with my monthly payment besides, or even the initial cost, besides the actual mortgage itself? Are there any other costs that I need to be aware of?
Well, typically when you get your mortgage, you're going to realize what your housing payment is, your principal and interest, taxes, homeowners insurance, and mortgage insurance. So you're going to have your total payment. The other payments, to consider when you're budgeting for a home is utilities, cable, water, sewer, garbage. Those are basically the few extra things that you, well, of course, maintenance, upkeep on your yard, that you want to factor into your budget. Those are pretty much the basic ones that follow with the home.
Good.
Add on that for a second also, especially when I have first-time home buyers come in and they don't know maybe all the expenses of owning a home. It's little things like, do you have a lawnmower? Oh yeah, I don't have a lawnmower. I've been renting and I don't have to mow the lawn. Okay, well, you looked at this house. Is there blinds in the house? These are all expenses that they really don't think of before they go and start moving boxes into their house. Like, I might have a couple grand out of pocket just to make this livable today. But like the water, sewage, garbage, most people around here already pay for that in their rent. So really this new payment is going to include all the taxes and insurance anyways. And maybe they've already paid water, sewage, garbage, and utilities. So really their payments less or right around the same. The only really additional costs that they're going to have are those little expenses we talked about, like the upkeep on the yard, the blinds, maybe going out and buying a lawnmower, stuff like that. So really there's not a whole lot that's hidden, I guess.
Yeah, good. So I want to backtrack a little bit. We talked about mortgages and how in the last decade there has been a bad rap, maybe deservedly, maybe not, but at any rate there's a mortgage called an ARM. And when you say ARM, people a lot of times they're repelled.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about adjustable rate mortgages versus conventional, and what other kind of mortgages are out there?
Well, the adjustable rate mortgage, known as the ARM, is basically your interest rate. You can have a 3-1 ARM, a 5-1 ARM, 7-1, or 10-1, and all that means is that for the first 3, 5, 7 years of your loan, it's at a fixed rate. But then after that time period, your rate adjusts, and it typically goes up. And it all depends on what the index is doing. And most people don't prepare for that. They really don't. And it's something that you don't typically put a home buyer in, that's a family, a first-time home buyer, because of that rate change. It's just a significant rate change. And if you're feeling comfortable at your payment, at $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden your rate adjusts because of you've lapsed past the first 3 years of the fixed rate,
Right.
then all of a sudden you have a significant increase in your rate and your payment jumps up $200 a month more. A lot of people can't budget that. So most of the time, and the only time that I personally have ever dealt with ARMs is for investors that only intend to keep the property for a very short amount of time. And it works that way for some people that are, planning only to stay in a house for a couple of years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Sometimes it makes sense, but most of the time, it's not a good thing to get in. You can't guarantee, what the future holds. So the fixed rate is, your interest rate's whatever it is the day your loan's locked, your payment's this, it's not going to change, and you're established. So you know what to expect. And that's kind of the difference. You don't know what to expect on an ARM, and you know exactly what to expect on a fixed rate.
So
Yeah.
when you're trying to qualify somebody maybe for an adjustable rate mortgage, one of the terms we'll throw out is payment shock. So after that, third year, if your interest rate's going to change, you have to be knowledgeable enough to say, can I afford potentially a 7% interest rate within a month? Going from a 3% to maybe a 7%. A lot of people can't go from $1,000 a month to maybe $1,500 right off the bat. I mean, it's just too much to carry when they have fixed income. They make $1,200, every 2 weeks. They can't afford that, and it's just going to put them in a bad situation later on down the road.
So if I'm the man coming to buy the house and I come to see you, you will lay it out for me. So I know the repercussions, if you want to call them that, of an adjustable rate mortgage versus a fixed, so I can see the difference between the two.
Absolutely.
And then it'll make total sense to me as the buyer. Very
Yes,
good.
Absolutely.
So now we talked a little bit earlier about the down payment, and so that we need to have money in the bank in case there's a down payment. So the question I guess I would have is, how much typically would be a down payment on a traditional loan where one is required?
Typically, in most cases, with the medium, average sales home price, right around 167,000, I believe it was what it was relayed to.
Is that the median now?
I believe is
167?
what it is.
Okay.
Is the last report I seen, and again, basically what you'd be looking at is somewhere in the neighborhood of around $6,000 to $7,000 for a down payment.
Wow. So yeah, okay. But it's good to know that going in instead of finding out. Yeah. So
yeah.
And prepare for it, right?
Prepare
like you
for it.
talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Start saving.
Right. And the one thing for people to also understand is if you're a first-time home buyer, some of these programs that are out there do allow gift funds. So maybe you don't have a down payment, but you have a family member or a close relative that can gift you your money for your down payment.
Beautiful.
And that's something that can be done also.
That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a lot of families who the parents want to help the kids.
Absolutely.
All right.
It happens quite a bit. Yeah.
So now, you guys do the loans. Eagle Home Mortgage is the lender, and so that's probably the first and one of the most important steps in getting ready to buy the house. Now I need to find a house. So walk us through that. How do we do that?
Well, 95% of all home buyers search online first. They use Redfin, Trulia, Zillow, maybe a Google search for the area, and they can find, the local real estate companies. So that's the very first part that usually happens all the time, And
That's what they do first, is go to the realtor?
typically, what they should do first is go to their lender
Right.
and get pre-approved for a mortgage so they know how much of a house they can afford to buy.
Okay.
And then proceed to the real estate broker to find them the house in their price range, in the desired area that they wish to live. So that way they know exactly how much of a house they can afford to buy and what's on the market, what's available.
Good, okay. So check out as many in your price range as you can. Use the internet.
You know, like what Clark was saying, we would typically like to see him get pre-approved first, but we know that's not the case. I'm even guilty of myself. I mean, obviously I can pre-approve myself at any time, but I go home and I look at houses that are already in my price range, and I look at different investment properties, and you know, I'm just like any other consumer out there that, you know, I'm looking at stuff that's probably above my budget, see how much I can max anything out, or how high can I go, and you know, it's really good to go in and actually talk to your lender. And maybe we can give you some pointers on maybe it's not a good idea to try to max something out, especially what your situation is. Maybe you can get into a house now, and in 2 to 3 years we can look at maybe increasing family size, you know, increasing the home you actually want later on. We see a lot of people right now, they have a big appetite. A lot of people want that house with acreage on it. I mean, that's a big thing around Moses Lake. People want an acre or 2 acres, you know, where they can feel like they can spread out when they come to Moses Lake. They don't want to feel like they're in Seattle or Portland or something, you know, where you're all bunched together. So those homes, you're going to see stick-built homes, they're going to be expensive. You know, they're going to be probably $200,000 or more. Most people around here, what's our median income? Probably $54,000 or so.
Yeah, I believe so, in that neighborhood.
Somewhere around that range. Typically, you're not going to be able to afford that kind of mortgage payment. So you'll see people trying to, we might have to take stepping stones to get to where you ultimately want to be, you know, later on. And it's just kind of painting that picture for buyers, to let them know, you know, it might be out of range today, but we can get you there, you know, later on. So we try to keep that personal connection with our clients, saying, hey, come back and use this again.
Yes.
You know, we're going to treat you right this first time, and we're also going to give you the opportunity to move up later on when you're able to make that, you know, big purchase for your, you know, for your family.
Great suggestions. Clark and Tyson from Eagle Home Mortgage, thank you guys so much for being here today. It's been really educational, great answers and suggestions for first-time home buyers or just anyone wanting to buy a home. And tell us again the company name, how to reach you, how to get a hold of you.
We're Eagle Home Mortgage, located in Moses Lake, 1101 South Pioneer Way, 509-766-8100.
All right, thank you.
You're watching From House to Home. We'll be right back.